welcome back to a cover story conversation. We are here discussing the legacy of Prime Minister Modi. We were comparing him to, a lot of people compare him to Nehru. BJP also, Yashwant ji says that he has to finish Nehru का record तोड़ना है. अब record सिर्फ numbers का नहीं होता. Record is also about, something you leave behind. So what is that something that Prime Minister Modi will remember him for?
Well, I think he has tried for the last 10 years, as well said. And I genuinely believe that one thing, apart from many other things, which will make him stand apart, according to me, would be his effort to change India's, focus from a job seeker to become an entrepreneur. And that is particularly, I'm talking about from the Hindi heartland and the Gangetic belt, North of Vindhyas, people have been largely and only looking for naukri as such. When you talk about job hai, naukri chahiye. And naukri nahi hai, Priya. Naukri kahan se aayegi? See, you look about the agitation for the different caste groups. For what? Reservation in the government job. Government jobs, where are government jobs? Forget about government job, there are no private sector jobs. So thing is that with this kind of population, as Suhail said, it's impossible to create jobs for these many people. It's impossible. The only way to turn this around is to make people shift their focus from being a job seeker to job provider, to become an SME, to become an entrepreneur. Because even the smallest of the enterprise ends up, giving jobs to 5 to 10 or 15 people. Even the smallest of them, and that makes hell of a difference. And they are not to be protected. I know when Suhail said that protectionism, I agree with him. But when I made a point about protecting the SMEs, it's not a protectionism that I'm talking about from the economic policies. They need to protect the SMEs from bureaucracy, from the harassment.
Yes.
No, I'm not asking for protection against that. Indian entrepreneurs can do hell of a job. But yeah, at the micro level, at the smaller level, the day-to-day harassment that they had to suffer even today from the bureaucratic levels, it's a work in progress. I know it is going to take time. But if Narendra Modi in his third term, and as long as he is willing to serve in public life, if he changes India's way of thinking from asking a job to become entrepreneur, that would be his biggest contribution to India, not the secondary economy, the way India is going to progress and go in the future. As per me, that will be his biggest contribution and legacy.
So here's the two questions. One, of course, the Modi versus Nehru question. Second is, what Yashwantji spoke about Rahul. You said Rahul has not been consistent, Suhail. But the thing is that his numbers, the Mood of the Nation numbers, show that Rahul's graph has increased from February to now also, to August, since the two things.
I'm
so
sure
there is
when you start at zero, you can't go subpar. You'll only increase mathematically. Let's look at the mathematics. India and Indians love a dissenter. ये देखो हमारा आदमी है. But you see, this is not the Namak Haram storyline that you can use. So you have to understand that, just being the underdog will not win you an election. You have to do other things in order to win an election. And I don't think Rahul Gandhi wants to win an election only for one reason. See, what Rahul is doing must not be minimized. But there is a difference between being an activist and a politician. An activist is cause-driven. A politician is voter-driven. So you have to understand that there is an essential difference between fighting for a cause and fighting for the aspirations and the needs of a people that you are seeking votes from. That's the critical difference. And as far as, I'll tell you today, we are on the 19th of September 2025. I can tell you, Priya, his legacy will be remarkable. People will hate him today. People may not like him. People may not subscribe to his theories. But let me tell you today, Narendra Modi will go down as the only defining prime minister. And I'll tell you why. The parallels with Nehru are not right, because Nehru is associated with freedom. freedom is an emotional cause. Development has both emotion and logic. So it is very difficult to just correlate, is he better than Nehru? No, they were two different people at two different times. But remember, Modi came at a time of despondency. He came at a time when there was trouble. And he has steered a ship where there was more trouble. There was a health scare thanks to COVID. There was global turbulence and churning. So I can tell you, and I'll give you the Ronald Reagan example. When Ronald Reagan became president of the United States, everyone laughed until today. And now Ronald Reagan is seen as one of America's finest presidents. People have forgotten the Lincolns and the Washingtons when they talk about Ronald Reagan. So I'm
We can
telling you
give
one
us
thing.
Manmohan Singh's example. You don't have to look too far.
No, Manmohan Singh will be remembered for decency. He will not be remembered for effectiveness. See,
Why
there is a,
not?
there is, I'll tell
91.
you.
Yeah.
No, 91, everyone knows that
Is Rao.
it was compulsion that drove the pressures to perform. Here,
Yeah.
there was no compulsion, but there was a desire to perform. That's the difference. A, B. Let me also say, and I'm so glad you mentioned Manmohan Singh. I'm a great admirer of Dr. Singh and always admired him. Dr. Singh brought decency to a profession that is seen to be one inhabited by scoundrels. He was the decent politician, if you could call him a politician. That's why the sobriquet for him was always technocrat, so that you didn't have to, put him in the same basket.
Correct.
Modi has had to contend. Please understand, Dr. Manmohan Singh was in office but not in power. Sonia Gandhi was in power but not in office. Modi is in power and in office. So to juggle both, it's a tough act. A, B, you had no support. You have no legacy. You have no family backup. You have nothing. You've come in from the cold and become the prime minister not once, not twice, but thrice. And you're still going. So, give the man credit for what he's been able to do in spite of the enormous reputational damage that already happened with him between 2002 and 2014. So he came with a reputational baggage. He had to first perform in order to obliterate that, and then perform in order to be judged by people like us. So that's a huge task
Fair enough.
from a brand
But
perspective.
yeah, and that is really where also where you're one of the strong points. But Yashwanji, if you want to add to the Modi bit, but also taking a look at Rahul, I'll ask you that question. Is Rahul picking on the right issue? Has this issue of vote chori, if you were to advise him, what issues would you tell him to pick?
Well, I really don't think vote chori is an issue. I mean, he can pick up. You see, problem with Rahul is he picks up issue. It's fine. The way I look at where it goes wrong, and so please feel free to correct me if you feel that I'm not making any sense anywhere. I believe that as long as Rahul campaigns against a system, against the government, against the BJP as a party, it works. His Bharat Jodo Yatra worked because he hit the field, he was meeting people, he was seen as accessible, and it worked along. So I don't know who in his circle and why, or is it his own thing, advises him to make it a presidential against Mr. Modi in person.
Right.
The moment he changes his course from attacking the government, attacking the BJP, attacking the system, the issue, to attacking Mr. Modi, that is where it all goes down. What he is unable to understand right now is there is, like, say, on the political spectrum of India, if you remember, worst numbers of the BJP in 2009 when Manmohan Singh won, Dr. Singh won the second mandate, BJP was around 20% vote. That means at worst of the time, BJP was around 20. Look at Congress. At the worst of the time in 2014 and 19, they were at 20%. That means these 20 on each blocks are kind of firm and stationed. They are not going to mix. Okay. Is the middle 60% vote which swings? And it's a huge number. Now, when you look into the NDA vote share of approximately 50%, that means there is a 30% Modi dividend, 20 to 30%, whichever way you look at it, right? which Mr. Modi on his own brings on the table for the ND. All right.
Okay.
Now, if you want to swing that 20% in your favor, that 20% which loves Mr. Modi as a person, not because of his ideology, not because of his party or anything, then the last thing that you would do is to attack that particular brand from that particular point.
Correct.
So he has to just give up in a way, thinking that he is gonna mount a presidential form of campaign against Mr. Modi. As long as he'll continue doing that, it is gonna backfire. Even in this vote chori thing, that they came up with their Mr. Modi's mugshot, Modi vote chor hai kind of thing. I realized that this is not gone for a toss. PowerPoint presentation, you can make an issue, make a thing and everything, it's fine, but you cannot make it personal. And he is making it personal. I really don't think it's going to work well for him.
Okay. On that note, so you want to add something? I agree with him. Don't make it personal. Focus on issues. That's a more effective campaign from the opposition point of vieh. So you want to
His
add anything,
next
Rahul?
presentation, his next presentation should be made after he's visited Azad Mandi and not Khan Market. Then he will realize what the real people want and what the real issues are. Because vote chori, any simple fellow can tell you कि भाई आप इलेक्ट हुए तब चोरी नहीं थी, पर जब मोदी इलेक्ट हुआ तब चोरी थी. अगर आपको डेमोक्रेसी में कोई भी विश्वास नहीं है, तो टेल ऑल योर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स which have been elected to resign en masse. Then resign as LOP. Say that I do not trust parliamentary democracy because the way we have been chosen is flawed. But that also you want to
Yeah.
do, or you don't want to do. You can't have partial pregnancy, भाई. ये नहीं कि भाई मैं ये भी करूंगा पर वो नहीं करूंगा. So my advice to them would be pick issues which matter. Don't pick issues which will get you headlines within a closed door ecosystem of 125 activists and 17 universities abroad, because those don't matter. They are not coming here to vote.
Good point, both of you. I think on that note, good advice. But it's been a good conversation on where Modi stands and what Rahul is trying to do. We're going to keep following them politics. But for now, thank you so much for this conversation. Hello and welcome to a cover story conversation. Well, we just saw and celebrated Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 75th birthday. I mean, there were all those people who were saying 75 is the end, that he will have to retire, go to a Mardarshak Mandal. But as you can see, all indications otherwise, he is going strong. He is going to be fighting perhaps in the next general election. Also, I don't think perhaps is the right word. He will be fighting the next general elections and will perhaps beat Prime Minister Nehru's record of being in office for 17 years. But then this is the time that people also ask, what is the legacy that he's leaving behind? What is the India of his dreams? He's on a journey to rediscover Bharat and bring back all the past glory of the country. But beyond that, what else does he stand for? That is something we're going to be discussing today. And on the other hand, we have the opposition spearheaded by Rahul Gandhi. Will Rahul be an effective disruptor of Prime Minister Modi's legacy? That is the question on the table today. I have joining me Sohail Seth. He's a marketing maven, political commentator, and a columnist, and Yashwant Deshmukh. He is the director and the founding editor of Sea Voter, someone who has the pulse of the nation. Also, in fact, I will be coming to you, Yashwantji, on your latest Mood of the Nation poll that you've conducted, which and the numbers that it shows. But before that, Sohail, can you set this conversation in context? The conversation that we're having. What will you think Prime Minister Modi has already set in motion a legacy of sorts?
Absolutely. Prime ministers set a legacy, good, bad, indifferent, even after one term. Here, what has happened is four things, to my mind, are going to be his legacy pillars. Number one, in an ironic manner, to paraphrase the discovery of India, it is the rediscovery of Bharat. Nehru talked about discovery of India. Modi has rediscovered Bharat, the civilizational legacy aspect. Number two, he has moved way beyond as far as global statesmanship is concerned, and we saw the most recent turnaround by Donald Trump. He has made Indians and people of Indian origin, whether they live or are Indian citizens anymore, proud of their Indianness. Fourth, the pace of development has been excruciatingly brilliant. And I'll tell you why. In 2014, when he took over, the mood of the nation, no pun intended on what Yashwant will finally say, the mood of the nation was one of despondency, of hopelessness, and more importantly, of us having submitted to crony capitalism. We had slowly become the Republic of Nexuses from being the Republic of India. That has changed. What are the pitfalls? The pitfalls are the Prime Minister's unwillingness or non desire to sanction people who play the Hindu card will not stand him in good stead. Number two, I think because of the brute majority that he has had, anything that the government does is seen from a brute majority perspective rather than from anything else, which to my mind is quite unfair. Then take into account the fact that it is not either his or Amit Shah's business to go to Khan Market looking for an opposition. The opposition pretty much has been in disarray. And the biggest sign of that is the way the India alliance was formed with all the gusto, and today it's torn apart. And the fourth, which may be a pitfall, is that in this globalized world and in a world which is totally topsy turvy, to maintain a unique identity often attracts trouble, like it did qua Ukraine, Russian oil, or for that matter, the reaching out, and before that, the Cold War with China. So I think by and large, this is the context. Rahul Gandhi, to my mind, and I said this on your program many, many months ago, I thought the Bharat Jodo Yatra was superb. It was pointed, it was focused, it was sharp. The problem with Rahul Gandhi is consistency and the ability to see things through. And, people don't vote on the basis of PowerPoint presentations that you make at Indira Bhavan. People vote both from an emotional point of view and from the point of view is how will this person deliver? And that, to my mind, is where Rahul Gandhi is lacking, which, by the way, in that area, his mother was not. Also, I've always said this, and I repeat, that the debasement of political discourse has been really disappointing. Never before has political discourse been so debased, so tu meh like it is today.
Well said. I totally agree with you, Sahil, on that. Yashwani, your opening comments, and also, we spoke about your Mood of the Nation poll, but See Voter does a poll. I think it's a weekly or a daily affair in that sense. You have a tracker on the nation. But if you see your numbers from February to now, while the BJP is still on the rise, there has been a decline in the BJP and a rise in the Congress's fortunes. Prime Minister Modi also said his popularity rating still high was static while Rahul's was on the increase. So is the Congress doing something right?
Well, Priya, let me first start with saying that there is hardly anything that I disagree with most of the things that he said. I mean, he has summed up so beautifully and so nicely. I can only provide the data to back up, whatever he has said, and I just quoted the MOT. And you have to look into the current mood of the nation poll in context with the fact that this poll was done after Operation Sindhu. And in our tracker, and we do a daily tracker, as you know, across India in 11 languages, the kind of spike that we had seen post Balakot, which was almost in the range of 15% plus in popularity rating and in voting intention and everything. And that continued for almost like 14 to 16 weeks, across that time. This time, even though Operation Sindoor was 1,000 times more, bigger in terms of army success in Operation Sindoor, in the operative success. But the spike came only about 5%, and that too lasted only about 4 to 5 weeks. So, ideally speaking, with that kind of military operation, I would have been expecting BJP crossing, in our calculation, 300 on their own, and NDA crossing almost 350 on their own. And in that way, it didn't happen. Largely, that has to do with two things. As you discussed, our Operation Sindoor, at that point of time, the tracking numbers that we were discussing, that the abrupt ceasefire uh, was something which people did not appreciate. And and in fact, that disappointment came largely from the BJP supporters, because they
Yeah.
were expecting that Pakistan would be given a bit more, dil mange more wala. So that dil mange more did not happen. And that's why there was a subdued kind of thing. And then Donald Trump happened and everything. But having said that, two things which are very interesting to observe in our numbers. Number one, Prime Minister's personal rating are sky high, and I don't remember, as a pollster, as a student of polling. I mean, Suhail can correct me; he's more experienced than me. I don't remember any other world leader being 11 years in power and having an approval rating which still crosses 50% plus. I mean, at least not in my not on my data record, as I say, and so that is absolutely remarkable. There are many things which are problematic with this government, which are problematic with India, which people are saying. There are economic issues, there are issue of unemployment. I mean, there are many things, but everything gets covered by the one single thing, that the trustworthiness of brand Modi. And that
Yeah.
trustworthiness covers up everything that is lagging behind. And Suhail has brilliantly kind of summed up everything that is going wrong. And Suhail, I totally agree. The thing which actually pisses me off these days is the war of narrative, or the political discourse, or the complete discourse in public medium, that it is going down. I don't know what. I've stopped appearing on the TV panels, and I hardly accept any. I mean, barring the friends like Priya, where I know that I will be sitting among friends, and I will be sitting with Suhail or some other friend, and we know what we are going to talk about. Otherwise, I just decline
Yeah.
coming to any TV panel anymore. It's not
I
really
think what
worth it.
Sohail said, debasement of discourse has also reached the TV channels.
ये कोई
And what
मतलब ही नहीं है यार. I mean, look at, I mean, the thing which Suhail, it's funny. We did ask about the people if they get disappointed and like that. Apart from many other things, big number of BJP supporters are very disappointed with the sheer arrogance of the BJP spokies across all the channels, across all the states. You know, and I genuinely believe when you are in power, the people who are your face coming across media, they should be very humble, full of humility, talking about facts, figures in the right way. You know,
right.
uh, and and that is something which is I believe is damaging the BJP. I don't know why they are not realizing it. I hope that someday they realize it and do something about it. But apart from the discourse, as we looked into the number of MOTN, I think there are issues that people are concerned about. Even after running the world's largest free food program for 800 million people, more than two-thirds households are still saying that they are finding it difficult to run the kitchen. Now,
Hmm.
there is a problem with that number because there is an aspirational value. People are hopeful. It's not that they do not have hope. Somehow, in this entire game, they are looking at things which are tough right now, but it will get better, in the future. They have better hopes for their kids living in India. So those things are happening. But critically speaking, there are issues with economy, no doubt about that. And unless we really do something useful and use this Trump tariff crisis as a 91 movement for us to open up to
Yeah.
just bulldoze this entire bureaucracy and red tapeism that we have in our society, and usher in a new era for the SMEs at large. Forget about the big enterprises. The real thing that will kick in India in the next phase is the SMEs. And
Well,
unless
yeah.
we give that kind of thing, we are
Hmm.
gonna face serious troubles in some time soon.
Okay, so couple of things, Well, before you say, one is of course, is Prime Minister Modi damned more by the people around him, than in his own intentions? Because he spoke about the arrogant spokespersons. We have rabid people within the party saying things that he may not like to endorse. And secondly, we were expecting some big ticket economic reform from him. Has that happened? Because it's still not percolated on the ground.
So there are three
Yeah, I
things.
mean, sorry, Suhail. It's for you.
There are
Yeah.
three things that Yashwant touched upon. See, India is a very difficult country to govern, especially when we veil it in and enshrine it within a democracy. Because what is happening is, to my mind, you have issues where people are going to take very pointed stances because they want to oppose, not because they don't like it or like it. It's just for opposition's sake. We've seen that in Bengal. We've seen that with Rahul Gandhi. We're continuing to see it. Development, unfortunately, in India is not something that is unanimously devoured. It is also selectively hated. So you have to balance that and understand where Prime Minister Modi is coming from. Let me say four things that have actually worked for the economic policy of this country. Number one, GST. You had so much of leakage, you had so many issues that's been sorted. Is it work in progress? It will always be work in progress. Number two, make in India. The fact that Apple is making in India is not enough. Today, more and more defense capabilities are being made in India and of Indian origin. Number three, Startup India. See, I've always believed, Priya, we keep talking about our software prowess, and yet we don't have a Facebook or a Google that we've created. So we have to move from labor arbitrage to employee innovation. And that he has given a fillip to through Startup India. And the fourth is that there is now, and I can tell you this because I advise some of the biggest, companies and their CEOs. Today, they don't have to go to Delhi to get work done. There's a policy that's laid out, and within the framework of that policy, you do it. Yes, if people have objections, competitors have objections, they go to courts and then courts settle the matter. So I'm saying there has been enough progress qua development. MSMEs will always be squeezed because it's a Bernard Shaw thing. When whales fight, shrimps are eaten. They're the shrimps right now. So we've got to make sure that the MSMEs are protected. But again, protectionism comes at a great cost, as we have seen with the tariff imposition of the US. So it's a damn tough act. But I will give Narendra Modi 9 on 10 as far as the economy is concerned. More and more people are spending, more and more people are earning. Yes, there is unemployment, but unemployment is now a global phenomena. You've seen the numbers that just came out day before yesterday by the Fed in the US. And these are things that he will have to address. But is he keeping his eye off the ball? Answer is no. Is he proactive? Answer is yes. How did we recover from COVID? To my mind, brilliantly. It could have been a body blow for a country like India. Today, the direct benefit transfer, 440,000 crores worth of leakages have been plugged. So, the going is good, but there's only one problem with the BJP. They're like my grandmother. Neki kar kuएं mein dal. They have zero communication of the good that they do. And I've said this multiple times on your program, Priya, that the BJP individually are great orators and communicators, but both as a party and a government, they're woefully inadequate.
I think they need to get their messaging right. It's not that they're not messaging. We saw they are really in your face, but hagiography doesn't really send the message across. It gets people's backs up. I think that's something they need to learn how to form their message better. I'm going to take a break, but I'm going to come back and ask the break. We always say that Modi wants to beat Nehru's record. Now, records are not just in numbers of years. Records are also about legacy. So what is the big ticket legacy that Modi can leave that will compete with Nehru, or at least, put him at par, saying that this is his legacy? So I'm going to take a break and come back on that one.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.